Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is your weekly edition of TV news, which is actually not a full week since the last time, because this weekend we have Luke Cage launching, so our weekend is going to be so busy that we decided to do this a day early. So if anything breaks on Friday, anything news happens, anything big,
Just look at it this way. We were so kind that we gave it to you a day early.
it just so happens that this week was packed with news, so it's full anyway. It's not like you're getting a late show because it's a day early. There's actually plenty that's happened to make up for it. So, shall we get into it? Now, I've structured it this week a little bit more, right?
Oh God, is that how much there is?
I've got the quick stuff at the start, and then when it gets to the new shows that we're talking about, I've put all the half-hour comedies together, and then all the hour-longs.
There's that many new shows again.
Aye. Do you want me to count? One,
Oh God,
two, three,
it's
four,
too many
five,
already.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I heard you click to go to another page. Then there's too many.
Keep in mind, I am on a 2-page layout,
Yeah,
so I went to page 3 and 4.
it's too many. What's going on?
I don't know. Everyone's ordering pilots and developing shows. I don't know what's happening. But before we get to that, let's get to the quick bits at the start here. First up, ABC has cut the order for Imaginary Mary. I don't know if you remember this one from all of our pilot season discussions and pickups discussions, but this was the sitcom where the lead character had an imaginary friend from childhood who came back,
Yeah,
and I compared it to Drop Dead Fred,
yeah, I remember.
from the sounds of it. Well, that was maybe getting its typical 13 episodes, possibly getting picked up for a back 9. It's now been cut to just a 9 episode order from the start.
Okay,
So this sounds like it's probably not going to
it's a
live
little
very
worrying.
long. Yeah.
If it was like a 6, I could see them because sixes I see like a lot of comedies get 6 for one season and then kind of go ahead, but 9 down from the 13 is a little concerning.
Yeah. Well, it's worth noting as well is all those ones that start with 6, I don't think start with more than that and get cut. They just like, all right, we're going to launch it in like March before the end of the season. Have it,
Yeah.
Whereas this is getting cut, and although part of the reason for this is that because Speechless is doing so well for them,
Oh, good.
they won't need as many comedies coming after Christmas. So I think that's part of the reason is that because that's doing well and this one maybe doesn't look as hopeful, they've trimmed
Well,
it.
I'm glad Speechless is doing well because that was fantastic.
That was a fantastic pilot. Our review that's up. We thoroughly recommend checking that out. Next up, speaking of episode orders changing, This Is Us from NBC has been given 5 extra episodes and it'll now have an 18 episode first season.
Okay.
So obviously that's good news, although I will say it's still a very weird number. But
It is because 13 before is kind of like the kind of verging on that prestige cable level, like that 10 to 13 season.
well, even ignore that. That's like they always get picked up for 13 and then they maybe get the back 9 or they don't.
Yeah, but I could see them. It was the sort of show where I could see them just giving it 13.
True. Whereas now it's going to get an 18 episode season, which is a weird number, but maybe this is the networks playing with different size seasons.
Yeah, we saw it with iZombie.
That got 19, yeah, season
Yeah.
2. 18 or
That was-
19, was saying.
That was a weird one as well, wasn't it?
Sorry, season 3 was 18 or 19. Season 2. We've already had 2 seasons.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say we haven't had season 3 yet.
yeah, season 3 is the next one.
Yeah.
So that's fair. But yeah, so they're obviously playing with the number of episodes per season for different shows. How they come to a decision based on what show gets what, it's hard to say at this point, but
I'd like to think it was a storytelling, like creative choice. I mean, like How to Get Away with Murder only has, I think, 18 or 19, and that feels tighter of its overall plot because of that. So I'm hoping maybe it's something to do with that.
you would hope. I think the writers or producers did say they'd mapped out for 18 initially, and that's why they want 18. But I'm always skeptical. Like, are they just saying that now to make it sound like great news, or
When they get the 18, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
like-
thing. It's like you hope it's a creative choice, but you just don't know, do you?
yeah. Next up, The Strain has been renewed for a 4th season, but it'll also be its final season. So that's coming in summer 2017. I did watch most of season 1 of The Strain, and it had some promise here or there, but it kind of squandered most of it for me, and I gave up and had no interest in watching any more seasons. But if you're a fan, you're getting a final season that will wrap up the story.
I always appreciate it. Again, like, I'd never watched it at all because it didn't look like that good to me personally. But I mean, I appreciate it when they know they're getting the final season and they have the heads up so they can actually deliver a satisfying conclusion for those who do enjoy the show.
And again, one of the showrunners, Carlton Cuse, was speaking about it and said, originally we only planned for 3, so, but the story drove us to a 4th, and this is where we're going to, this was a creative choice. And again,
Sure,
I'm like, that's good. But again, I'm skeptical as to how truthful you're being, and I hate to be that cynical, but
there's some people I believe that from, and there's some I don't.
Yeah.
This show is not anything behind this show is not what I'd believe it from personally.
But so that's The Strain getting a 4th and final season next year. Now the last bit of it's not really quick news. It's quick in terms of I don't have like a big thing to read, but so we're getting a big crossover in December from the DC TV shows on the CW, Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and the news this week is we now know who the villains are going to be for this crossover. It's going to be the Dominators, who are a little bit obscure. They're not like A-list villains or even B-list villains, honestly.
Which is probably why they can get them on the CW.
Which is probably why they can get them on the CW. But I do see potential here. The Dominators are an alien race who basically, their big story, this wasn't when they were created, but their big story was a event in the late 80s, early 90s called Invasion.
80s, yeah.
Was it 80s? And they basically thought, alright, this meta-human problem on Earth is getting out of hand. They're going to end up, ruining the universe or something. So we're going to step in and we're going to, take control of the situation. But one of them tries to set up a meta bomb that's going to kill all the meta-humans, and ironically, when the heroes end up intervening, it ends up creating more meta-humans and stuff. Which is why I'm thinking maybe this is how we get Wally West or Jesse Quick with powers on the Flash.
Yeah, I can see it. It's a very interesting storyline because obviously there's no clear right. Obviously, you think, oh, the metahumans, they're good, but they are a problem.
There's a lot of bad ones.
There is.
In fact, the bad ones outweigh the good ones by quite a large amount, going with the Flash.
Yeah, drastically speaking, because humanity is selfish.
Yes. So no, it's a cool idea, I think, because it'll take something that is a big, it's a big threat, it's a big global threat that's going to bring them all together and they have to fight it. It's going to probably be the first real event of these shows in terms of a scale.
Yeah, it's strange because obviously everyone was expecting a crisis so we could merge the universes.
It could still lead to that. I can still see them.
It could. But this is not what anyone was expecting, I don't think.
No, I can still see, if the whole meta bomb thing does happen, I can see that just causing the crisis.
Yeah. My one concern is that it'll play out as just a faceless alien race just so there's loads of things for everyone to hit.
That is a concern, but you'd hope there'll be a leader of some kind who'll...
I'd hope. But like I said, if it is just that, I'd be disappointed.
But it is also worth noting that when I talk about the meta bomb, that was a character who was working against the rest of the alien race. So that's potentially a prominent character that we'll have out of this group.
I believe
aliens.
they spoke about how they're using prosthetics and CG for the aliens.
Yes, they did. Yes.
So I hope it looks good. I mean, a lot of their stuff's look good, so I've got no reason to doubt it. But this should be quite a challenge for them on that scale.
Honestly, it's kind of sounding like it's just going to be a big 4-episode movie from the sounds of it.
It does sound that way, and I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. It's nice.
As long as the Arrow part doesn't ruin it, I'm down.
Well, theoretically it can, if they actually just treat it like one big story that plays over these 4... Almost like a comic book crossover where, sure, the second issue of this crossover might be Nightwing, but it doesn't feel like a Nightwing issue necessarily.
It's true. It's very true.
It's just one story that plays out over these 4 episodes of these 4 shows, and then it's back to business as normal. But
I just hope they don't try and keep the shows feeling too distinct for the sake of not alienating people who aren't watching all of them. Obviously, they have to limit it to a degree because some people might still only be watching Arrow, or maybe Arrow and Flash. And what do you do to those people who've missed the first part of the story and then potentially the final? You've got to give them something in an episode to episode.
Screw 'em. Put an editor's note at the start. Watch Supergirl episode whatever. Like do that.
I mean, the real question is why the hell aren't they watching Supergirl? And if they're still watching Arrow, but just on the off chance that there is some fool out there that is.
Oh, I'm sure there will be. Also, actually, just to piggyback off this, there was a clip from Supergirl released this week that let us see Superman in action in the first episode of the new season of Supergirl.
I think I may have just swooned thinking about it.
Yeah,
I think that was my reaction.
All I will say is that it was a delightful 2-minute clip that, while maybe not perfect, it felt like Superman in a way that the current movie version doesn't, and that is commendable.
Yeah, and they have absolutely nailed Clark Kent. Like, completely nailed him already. You only see, 30, 40 seconds of Clark Kent?
Yeah, something like that.
Spot on.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So, yeah, big crossover coming. The villain's going to be the Dominators, which is an alien race who has a social structure based on the size of the red circles on their foreheads.
And interestingly, just showing up in the comics again right now.
They are. One of the... nothing to... funnily enough, the comic book that's actually bringing them into it right now has nothing to do with any of the characters from any of these shows. It's a Green Lantern comic book that's doing that right now. So...
Hey, maybe this is all connected, and we just don't know that yet.
Oh, sure, why not?
Hey, they've teased Green Lantern a couple of times.
True, they have. That could be the Friday show. We might as well have 5 a week. Let's have Green Lantern on the Friday.
Oh, yes.
Why not? Alright, let's get on to the meat of the news then. Not that wasn't meaty, but we have all these new shows to talk about. So, first up, NBC has put in an order. They're developing. I said order because order's in the title of the show. Forgive me. So they're developing a comedy called Mail Order Family, which is a half-hour comedy from one of the writers of Superstore, Jackie Clark. And this is the part that gets me, because the premise of this sounds kind of wild and potentially offensive, depending on how they tackle it. But the first line of this very short description says, Mail Order Family is loosely based on Clark's family.
Okay.
This is the part that I don't...
How loosely are we talking here?
I don't know. Does he just have maybe a wife who's from another country and he's turning it into a mail order thing because maybe they joke about that in the house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that what they're doing? But yeah, so it follows a widowed single father who orders a mail order bride from the Philippines to help raise his 2 preteen daughters.
Jesus. Do you know what? You say, oh, this sounds offensive.
Mm-hmm.
It does, but we said the same thing about Speechless.
We did. However, I think this has... well, it's not so much that you can be more offensive about this than people with disabilities, but I feel like this...
It just invites racist jokes.
Yeah, it does, but I feel like the pull... say before you start, I feel like this feels like it has more... This is more likely to just be offensive across the board, whereas people with disabilities is something we should actually be paying attention to with society. That's something that we should be looking at, and we should learn how to treat that. Not that we shouldn't do that with people of different race, but I feel like this is specifically a mail order bride.
Yeah.
I feel like the setup of this is already possibly offensive, whereas before the other one, Speechless, is just, oh, this family has a son with disabilities, and we have to deal with that. The scare there was that the comedy itself might be from the wrong angle, whereas with this I can almost not imagine what the comedy will be in a way that isn't...
I can't find a way that this doesn't take essentially the Family Guy route of taking, because you say from Philippines,
yes,
and basically making it a caricature and playing on that.
Yeah, that's what I see when I think of this. Now, to their credit, they might benefit of the doubt, they could
Yeah.
hit us with something that's completely different and might like make us go, oh, I did not see that, Like I couldn't have imagined this show in my head. You gave me something that I couldn't visualize, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but maybe it's not the offensive thing that I'm instantly thinking.
I'm hoping it's not for everyone's sake.
Yes. What should be completely fine in terms of that, but then be completely sexist because of the daughters or something? Like, like just what should be?
I think I'd be more offended if it was just awful.
True, but no, but just imagine that we all go into it thinking, like, imagine if we watch Speechless, right, and it's like, oh, it handles the disability stuff perfectly with charm, with class, with understanding.
But it's incredibly racist.
Yeah, like imagine if it did that. Like, that would be
Yeah.
really like darkly ironic.
It would be almost funny, wouldn't it?
that it completely missed the mark on another social issue. But
Yeah.
so who knows if this will even come to series? It's just in development. It could be, pilot season might come. They might pass on it. Who knows? But
That's true.
Mail Order Family is the title. Which, to be honest, from the title, you think he's ordering the whole family. Which
I think they really just didn't want to call it Mail Order Bride.
they probably didn't.
They really didn't want that out there.
Yeah. So this feels doomed to me, but we'll see. Alright, so next up we have a show that's being produced by John Krasinski, who of course is Jim from The Office, and he's going to be Jack Ryan in Amazon's new show. But he's executive producing My Bad Parent. Now this one's kind of vague. There's not a whole lot to the description of this.
This generic sitcom description.
Yeah, it's inspired by a book and a blog of the same name. The show that reminds us that we are not alone in our parenting faux pas follows a blue-collar, loving, but imperfect family with a point of view that alternates between the blunt working mother and her pubescent son. So it sounds pretty... it's not a lot there. But all we know from that description is there's a family, the mother's blunt, and the son's a teenager, and it alternates between their point of views. That's all we know.
Yeah, incredibly. Could be good, could be awful. No way of knowing off that.
Yeah, no way of knowing. I will say, though, that their description of that show was particularly hard to say. There was a lot of hyphenated things going on in there that I do not appreciate.
I mean, I guess it gets some credit for Krasinski. I mean, that gives you at least some level of interest that it wouldn't have had based on anything else there.
But he is just producing, though, so it's not like...
It is, but it depends how involved he ends up being.
This is at Fox, by the way, and it's got a script plus penalty commitment, which means that if they don't make the pilot, or maybe make the series, they don't even specify here, but it means they'll be, they have to pay, Krasinski's company and the writer or whoever a lot of money if they don't do anything with it. So it's kind of a win-win for them. Really, they're getting paid either way.
Yeah. So they might as well make. That's the thing. In this case, it tends to be they might as well at least make a pilot because they're paying either way.
Yeah. So next up, we're going animated. Netflix has ordered an animated series called Pacific Heat, which is coming from Australia. In Australia, it's going to air elsewhere, but in the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, the English-speaking world, basically, it's going to be a Netflix show. And it's going to be 13 episodes in its first season, which they've greenlit.
Please tell me in Australia it's on Stan.
It's not on Stan.
Damn.
I don't think so. Anyway, what does it say here? And their television partner, Foxtel, and the series will premiere... in Australia, the television partner is Foxtel. So,
okay.
So Foxtel, whoever that is, I've never heard of them, because I don't know a lot about Australian...
All I know is Stan, and that's it.
Yeah, all I know is that Stan is there on Netflix. That's all I know. But, yeah.
But tell me about the show.
Yeah, late 2016. It's going to be December in Netflix for us and everyone in the West.
This year?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
December 2nd, specifically.
Better pencil that in, then.
Well, no, come on, it's an animated comedy. We typically don't...
It's true. No, I just mean for me.
Oh, just for you, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, oh, you've heard animated comedy from Australia. You're already on board?
Kind of. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, there's a long description of this one.
That does tickle my boxes so far. Let's see how quickly you can make me lose interest.
Pacific Heat follows the exploits of a dynamic unit of undercover police investigators working on the glitzy Gold Coast of Australia. The glamorous, sophisticated and sun-drenched paradise masks a hotbed of crime. Everyone from drug smugglers and biker gangs to eco-terrorists and the person who invented the frozen yogurt. The hand went up. And in order to tackle this seedy underbelly, police established a covert squad of highly trained operatives known as Pacific Heat. When criminals strike, the squad will be there in an unconventional and uncompromising manner, and not afraid to operate outside the law, provided at least one of them is wearing a fluorescent safety vest.
This sounds fantastic.
Sounds okay. I'm fine. I'll try it. It sounds okay. Sure.
Sounds right up my street. Really does.
All right. That was a long description, but it was well written, so I didn't struggle too much. So,
Yeah.
So
how nice of them to put things into decent sentences.
Yes, it's nice. It's nice when they
Very
do that.
considerate.
We're sticking with animated shows.
Okay.
This one coming from M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, I'm way less interested in this one.
To be fair though, he's not done an animated comedy yet. This is completely new territory for him.
Yeah, but that doesn't sell me with confidence either.
It's called 11 Little Indians.
I can't. I can't.
Which is obviously a play on 10 Little Indians, which you've probably heard of. And it's an animated series coming from him. It's also got Alex Carter, who is a writer from Family Guy, involved. It examines three branches of a large Indian family. One has achieved the American dream, another has just arrived in the US, and the third has gone off the rails. I don't quite know what that means. I was expecting the last one to say, and the third is still in India.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
But it said off the rails, so I don't know exactly what that means.
Maybe he's like living alone in the woods.
No, it's a branch of the family, so maybe like at least 3 or 4 people.
Oh, that's true.
Because it says 11 Indians, so I'm assuming, you know.
Split. Yeah, that's true. I have no interest in that.
That said, I'm going to make you watch the first episode.
I know you are.
just to see what it's like.
But just to be fair, we're watching the first episode of the Netflix one.
Alright, we'll try out Pacific Heat, sure.
Yeah, just in the interest of fairness.
We don't continue with the half-hour comedies, but I am certainly willing to watch the first one.
That's good.
And hey, if it's great, maybe we'll binge watch it and do a whole season-long thing, but
You never know.
you never know. Alright. So, do we have a comedy again? Yeah, we do. We have one more comedy in the news, and that is from ABC, has put in a pilot order from a comedy coming from 20th Century Fox TV. So this is one of these weird cross the streams shows where it's a production company from one studio is doing it for another network. But anyway, it's coming from writer Dan Sterling, and it's being produced, the production company from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. So
Okay, see, that's a good level of interest to get me there.
it's called The Escape. It is a single camera comedy. It's revolving around the stressed out urbanite who moves with his 19-year-old son to Ohio to live with his father. So you've got 3 generations of the same family here, who is a retired surgeon who boasts an Indiana Jones-like ruggedness. And that's all it says. So it's another vague one. It's just, father and son moved in with the grandfather in Ohio, away from the city. Hence why the title's called The Escape. And
There's enough there that I'm interested, though.
yeah, when it says, like, are they just describing the grandfather as having like a good-looking sort of Indiana Jones thing, or is he actually kind of like adventurous? And I don't mean like actually going into tombs and stuff, but like.
See, I feel like he might escape. Have a bit of a little bit of danger sort of thing.
Yeah, but again, like a lot of sitcoms, it's very vague. So.
But Lord and Miller.
Also, yeah, true.
So there's promise.
So that's ABC. So that may be one of the comedies we're doing next year. When it comes this time and all the shows are launching.
Aye.
So let's go on to some of the hour long stuff then.
Oh, the real stuff now.
Yeah, the real meat and potatoes of our channel here. So Universal Cable Productions. There's no network set for this yet. So this is a sub company of NBC Universal, which is the parent company that has all the channels. So you would guess it maybe will appear on NBC or USA Network or Sci-Fi, but it may not. It might go
As
elsewhere.
we've literally just spoke about.
Exactly. So they're developing an anthology series based on Alfred Hitchcock.
Man, anthologies are so popular right now.
They are. They're really popular right now. So the company's worked out a deal with the Alfred Hitchcock estate. So his family and stuff. to reimagine classic tales from the iconic horror filmmaker. And it's currently titled, it may change, but the current working title for this show is Welcome to Hitchcock. A bit weird, because he's a person, not a place. But
Yeah.
but whatever, maybe they'll change it at some point. Because he actually did have an anthology TV show once called Alfred Hitchcock Presents. But that was episode to episode, I believe. Whereas this is going to be season-long stories.
If these are short seasons, I can see it working really well. Because it'll be like just fleshed out versions of stuff.
Well, here's the description here. Welcome to Hitchcock will follow Hitchcock's unique brand of storytelling that resulted in films such as The Bird, Psycho, and the series Alfred Hitchcock Presents. In the spirit of classic Hitchcock style and legacy, and the anthology will focus on a single season-long mystery or crime. Plans are in place for potential future seasons to also work out with the Hitchcock estate. So it sounds like... Do you know what this sounds like to me more than anything else, if I'm going to compare it to another show? It sounds like Fargo. It sounds like they're going to take the ideas of Hitchcock, the type of story that would be in a Hitchcock movie, but not necessarily adapt one of those movies.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Because let's say Fargo it's like the Coen Brothers style, isn't it?
Yeah, like, it's not even just the Coen Brothers style, it's like... You get elements, you get the snowy landscape, you get the type of crime that was in the movie, you get the type of people that were in the movie, but it's a different story that plays out over the 10 episodes or whatever it is. With
some talent, I can see this being fantastic.
Oh yeah, me too. That sounds really appetizing to me.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Like, I am all for this.
Straight up sounds very good as an idea.
Yeah. Obviously, you get the wrong people on board, it could all fall apart. But from an idea perspective, this sounds really good to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's that. That sounds quite cool. So NBC Universal, again, so the parent company of that parent company, or that parent company of that production company, who's the company that also does the channels. It's convoluted, but NBC Universal are working on 2 projects with the production company that comes from Tom Hardy. And that is Hardy, Son and Baker is his production company. So they're working with NBC Universal to develop 2 shows. So I'm going to give you those 2 shows right now. The first one is called Pendulum. It is a crime thriller set in a digital underworld about an everyman who is targeted by a serial killer. And it's being developed by the British writer Adam Hamby, or Handy, sorry. That's a really awkward name because it's like Handy, but it's an M. Hamdy. Adam Hamdy.
I don't recognise the name.
You probably won't. Well, the book that it's based on, that he's also writing, isn't out until June next year. So this is like being developed as he's...
Early optioning there.
Yeah, this is like proper early stuff here. So that's coming out next June, and they're developing the show. So it wouldn't surprise me if they get this show up and running, that this also hits, if not in the summer, then not long after, so that they can promote
Capitalise
them.
on the popularity.
Yeah, they can hopefully like promote them at the same time. This might be a slightly science fiction show. I'm not entirely sure.
Digital Underworld sounds science fiction-y.
It does, but at the same time, I could almost buy it's just like the hacking culture, like in a present day scenario.
Yeah, it evokes cyberpunk in my mind.
It does, yeah. It
but I
evokes
think
cyberpunk.
maybe I'm looking into it too much.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure. It's not clear there. Either way, I am interested. It sounds...
Me too.
It's a not bad idea, and that sounds cool. The other one that Hardy, Son and Baker are working with NBC Universal on is they've got the rights to a... They've called it a graphic novel. I'm not sure if it is a graphic novel or a comic book series because I'm not familiar with the series itself. Like, I've not read it.
What series is this?
It's based on one by Warren Ellis and Jason Howard sci-fi called Trees.
It's a comic.
It's a comic, right? So it's not a graphic novel.
I've read the first couple of issues.
Right, it's a comic book series, not a graphic novel. So shame on you, Variety. Shame on you indeed. But
Filthy casuals.
Yeah, filthy casuals indeed. Trees is set 10 years after the arrival of aliens on Earth, who stand on the planet's surface and don't move. They don't communicate, they simply appear and don't acknowledge human life and society. They're just there. And the series follows the silent pressure and strange changes they exert on the global communities from China to the Arctic Circle. So this one is definitely science fiction, and it's an intriguing idea that there's aliens that come down and they just stand there like trees and don't do anything.
Yeah. I didn't read very much because Ellis's writing isn't really for me. I don't really like it very much, but it's very cerebral. The first few issues were
Okay, cool.
so. I can see it working well on TV.
I'm down. I'm down for both of these. These are both interesting to me.
Definitely.
So, yeah, so hopefully we see them popping up. And again, no networks. They could both appear on Sci-Fi. They might appear on anything else. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So, sounds good. All right, next up, coming from Fox, they're developing a series based on the 2013 novel Red Moon, which happened to be written by Benjamin Percy, which, admittedly, you might be watching this and going, I have no idea who Benjamin Percy is. But if you read comic books, if you read DC comic books, he currently writes Green Arrow and he also writes Teen Titans right now. So he's a big comic book writer right now, and we've been enjoying his work. So for us, we see this name and we're like, oh, right, Benjamin Percy.
Solid talent behind this.
He wrote a novel. But yeah, this is an hour-long drama, of course. It's set in the world in which lichens, which if you don't know lichens, that's werewolves.
I feel like you insulted our audience a little bit there.
I said if. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that lots of them do, but I'm assuming that some people don't.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
We'll see.
I apologise to anyone who I may have offended by assuming you might not know what a lichen is. I am being descriptive for everyone, just in case someone, hey,
Much better.
some of our audience might be young.
They might.
There might be a 12-year-old watching this who's never heard lycanthrope and go, what's a lichen? So,
Potentially. I just felt anyone who's interested in this sort of stuff already that we cover
I'm
probably knows.
just making it clear what they are, that's all.
Okay.
I feel like the word if was enough to get me out of trouble there, but okay. Anyway, do you want the description of the show?
I would love it, yeah.
Before I drive to you and hit you for being a tit. Anyway,
That's quite mild. I was expecting much worse.
well, I was neutering myself, wasn't I? I was trying to keep the language at an acceptable level.
Yeah, but hit, I was expecting at least stabbed.
Alright, get out you with a piano wire. How's that?
Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so Fox is developing this. It is an hour-long drama set in a world with lichens, who obviously are the humanesque basis for werewolf myths, and living among humans as an oppressed minority. So we're going to get a lot of meta commentary here. They're going to essentially be a
Racial metaphor.
yeah, racial metaphor. After a major terrorist event in the US, a lichen female FBI agent must go undercover to a world that she has shunned her whole life in an effort to stop further attacks.
Man, they're even throwing in the terrorist angle. This is really full-on race metaphor.
Yeah, so this is a this is a werewolf FBI agent who must go undercover to, I guess, the werewolf society to try and stop more attacks.
Percy really has a thing for werewolves.
It does, because he had a werewolf story in Green Arrow not that long ago.
Yeah. Man, he's really into it.
So
I'm down. He handled werewolves good in that. So
it
Sure.
sounds interesting. I'm down for this. So that's Red Moon. So you're getting a racial terrorist metaphor show with werewolves.
I'm down.
So next up, NBC has given a script commitment plus penalty. So the old if nothing happens payday to a reboot of the Italian Job.
Ugh.
Not feeling this one, Connor?
No,
No?
no, I'm not.
Me neither. So of course this was a movie in 1969 starring Michael Caine. It was then a movie. It was remade in 2003 with Mark Wahlberg of all people. Do you know what's weird? It's weird that the remake of the Italian Job is now 14 years old. Or sorry,
Yeah,
13,
I would
13
also
years old.
say I believe it was Jeremy Clarkson who said it best about the remake. That more than Italy was barely a job. Might as well just call it the.
Very good. But yeah, it's just weird to me that it's been 13 years already since this was remade.
Yeah, it feels like it's I mean, if you're gonna remake something, it's an acceptable amount of time in today's climate.
Well, debatable, I suppose.
I
but-
mean, I still think it's a low side, but compared to some of the other stuff, it's no different.
Sure. Does anyone want an Italian Job reboot though?
Not another one. Last one was bad enough, wasn't it?
I've not seen either of them. I'm coming to this as a complete
Okay.
outsider. But yeah, the Italian Job TV series is being described as a noisy, sexy thrill ride. God, this sentence just puts me off.
Oh,
I
it's
want
just buzzword after buzzword
I
that
want
sounds awful.
I want nothing of this. That follows a makeshift family of expert criminals who are forced out of retirement when an opportunity arises to get their beloved patriarch out of jail. At the core of this dysfunctional family is Charlie Croker, who is the character played by Kane and Wahlberg in the movies. A handsome and charming ex-con who tried to go straight, but just like the rest of them, he can't resist the adrenaline rush of the high-stakes heist world. Do you know what this sounds like more to me than we want to reboot Italian Job? It's we want a Fast and the Furious TV show, and this is another thing with a name that kind of fits that.
So you say Fast and Furious, I think more like something you get on like HBO. Feels like that sort of thing. Like it doesn't sound like apart from that first sentence, it doesn't seem like actiony enough.
Huh. Well, they did say they were going to keep the whole exotic locales, so they'll be going to different countries for different jobs, which
Yeah.
to me makes me think more of Fast and the Furious, and it makes sense that they'd want to ape on that success because that last movie made like $1.5 billion.
It made far too much, frankly.
It did make far too much, but no.
I could not have any less interest in this. I really couldn't.
Nah, I'm not interested either. I'm just not that. Like, I'm sure the original movie's probably fun. I'll need to watch the
I really
original.
like the original. It's good.
I'll need to watch it at some point, but I'm not like all I see, especially since it's NBC. All I see is in my head is like a really light-hearted, like kind of vapid show that. But then again, you never know. Like, see the right people writing it, the right people in the cast, it could end up being a fun thing. But just based on the idea alone, and based on like rebooting again another thing, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah, nothing about it excites me. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like I said, give me some people I care about who are involved with it, then I'll listen.
Yeah. Because I always say that when it comes to these things, when it's an idea that I'm not interested in, you put the right people involved with it, then
It can make me interested.
yeah, it flips it around, and maybe it will actually be a good show. But right now, I've got nothing to go on. All right, CW, so Shift Internal Network, and Greg Berlanti.
Oh, okay. What's he got now?
Well, don't get too excited. It's not another superhero thing. Or
No,
anything
but
like that.
even so, I'm kind of at a point where I'm willing to try Berlanti's stuff, whatever.
Well, this is going to be another social commentary show,
Okay.
and it's going to be dealing with immigration. It's called Casa. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Obviously, it's a Spanish word. It revolves around 6 siblings in a Hispanic family who have to band together to survive when their parents are unjustly deported. Doesn't really sound like a Greg Berlanti show, does it?
It doesn't, no.
Nah,
Doesn't sound like a CW show either.
it doesn't, which is why I think it'll be more light-hearted than it sounds.
What I'm about to what's the twist? What's the CW element to it?
Well, that's the whole description.
Whether that's it.
That's
There
it.
isn't a Okay. That's very un-CW.
It is. Which is why I'm thinking they're obviously all going to be teenagers and young, and it'll probably take up more of a light-hearted kind of, the oldest one who might be 19 has to step up and like.
Yeah, I can't see what this will be like. I
Yeah,
can't picture it.
because I imagine this being like a really serious like drama dealing with these issues on another network, but on the CW I see it being more, oh, what are all these crazy teenagers going to cope now that their parents aren't there?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe this is them branching out. Maybe this is something they want to put on late at night. Maybe this is something they want to put in the summer, away from all the more fun, spirited stuff. I don't know, but it does feel different.
It does feel very different. It doesn't necessarily seem bad, but I don't have faith in the concept on the CW either, doing the concept justice. Like I said, it's a very serious issue, especially in today's climate. It's very topical.
Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. That's that show from CW. We're swinging back over to Fox, who is giving a script commitment and penalty to a legal dramedy called The Underlings. The Underlings is set at a corporate law firm fueled by greed, where a group of hapless assistants, led by a plucky paralegal, resolve to right the wrongs of their evil bosses and clients.
That sounds so generic.
I don't know. It depends. Like it depend. Like, are they just like working on the cases like a legal drama, or are they going full on like we're going to take down this corrupt? Like, if there was like a season long arc of they were like properly trying to like take down this law firm because they're evil, then I'd be more interested because it could be more over the top. But it feels like it will be more just sort of generic and.
The idea sounds generic. I mean, the fact that it's a dramedy rather than another just a legal drama has me a little bit more interested.
Hmm.
But still, I want maybe when I see something and I'll judge it a bit better. But for now, I'm kind of seems generic.
All right, cool. And that takes us on to the last story in the news this week.
Oh, go on.
TNT has given a pilot order to Hinges. Hinges is coming from Warner Horizon Television, and social commentary and social topics is a big thing right now.
I mean, to be fair, I think good TV has always been that.
True, but I feel like a lot of these descriptions are really leaning on it now, you know.
They're actively trying to capitalize it rather than just reflecting.
And this is about examining two families of a different race living in suburbia. So it'll follow two sets of neighbours. Obviously, one family will be, you know, whatever race, the other one will be another. I assume white and black, but I mean, it could be.
You assume one will be white at least just to have a benchmark of not normality, but you know, like as a society we're trained to assume white is the standard, and then you know that's why we have race issues in general because white is assumed to be the standard.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
You assume that one of these will be to play off that trope.
Again, it's kind of an anthology show because it says that the plan is that future seasons, every season, it will shift to a different set of families.
Okay.
Also, I forgot to mention, their lives are changed. So the two sets of neighbours, their lives are changed when a scandal in the community like shakes everything up. So again, I assume that's a race-related scandal of some kind.
I'd assume so, and then you have to see how they maybe something that affects both their houses, and then it's like how do they view each like how does the neighborhood view each family differently for the same event?
Yeah, because it doesn't even say like are they friends or do they hate each other. Like we don't actually know.
No, we don't know anything.
So, but again, this is a TNT show called Hinges. So
interesting name.
Nice. I wonder what the show will hinge on.
They've been waiting for someone to do that. As soon as they named it that, they're like, someone's going to have to make this pun within the first day of us announcing it, or we've failed. So, you know, mission accomplished.
I'm glad I could be the one to crack that pun on this show. I really am.
Good.
That's the news. That's everything. I guess we should just quickly say, yes, Luke Cage is coming this weekend. We will be reviewing every single episode.
We've got some actual new stuff next week, right?
Yeah,
Not just returning.
No, we got No Tomorrow. We have Westworld hitting Sunday
Timeless
night.
Conviction, Frequency.
Yeah. So
they're all in the next week. Oh, God, what a week.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. We are going to be tired, so tired by the end of it. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let us know what you thought of all the news stories that we brought up on this episode. Let us know what you think of each one. You know, which ones tickle your fancy, which ones just sound awful. Let us know. We always like to hear. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. Helps us out a lot. Thank you very much for watching. Get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time.